Let's face it, photography is an awful side hustle. Thanks to the zero-sum policies of stock libraries, the ongoing devaluation of the perceived skills of photographers, social media's ongoing assault on value, and the tsunami that is generative imagery, it's never been harder to earn a buck with a camera. Since the core of this money-making problem is the devaluation of landscape photography and the perception of photography as being something that is mostly worthless, the solution is to try and artificially create a value for your work by selling it not just as photography but as art. That is why I and many photographers before me have tried our luck with gallery exhibitions. By showing our photography as finished works of art in a setting devoted to artworks, we should be able to charge a higher purchase price. Charging much more money for your work is a gigantic psychological leap to take, and I suspect that after some chin-stroking consideration, most photographers decide against it. Just arbitrarily deciding that your prints are worth a high dollar value is a big jumping off point because there's a real chance no one else will share your valuation. It's a bit like selling your house. It doesn't matter what value you attach to it, the market will decide what it's actually worth. And so, after many hours of thought and endless to and fro on the pros and cons, my wife and I decided to roll the dice. I'm at something of a crossroads in my life, and thanks to a small bequest, we decided it was literally now or never. I've had okay success selling prints of my photos online, but I have never tested my photography in a commercial artistic setting. I approached a local gallery and was offered the 2 weeks after the end of the school summer holidays. I figured there should still be plenty of visitors in town, and since the next dates were during term time in the depths of winter, I agreed to the slot. The gallery I chose has 7 resident artists. Their artworks are in the rear 2 rooms of the gallery, and visiting artists like myself have the main room at the front and, crucially, the front window. The gallery is located in a popular coastal town with high visitor numbers at weekends. The building is located on the main strip. Next door are popular cafes and shops and has good footfall. So before we get into how I went, let's talk about the financial side of putting on a gallery exhibition. Firstly, of course, there's the cost of hiring a space for the week or 2 weeks of your show. In my case, that cost was $1,500, which had to be paid up front. I phoned around a few galleries and the costs seemed to be similar in smaller and regional galleries and much more in the busy city locations. The big hit, of course, was the gallery commission. In my case, anything sold at the gallery during the exhibition was subject to a 35% commission fee. Again, this is pretty standard, and it is of course one of the reasons why art costs so much in a gallery, since all artists just add that 35% onto their own valuation to cover this substantial cost. So then I had to get my prints made. This is of course one area in which the costs can be higher for a photographer than a traditional artist. The cost of a blank canvas and some paints, even if they're very good paints, are probably going to be considerably less than the cost price of a framed gallery grade print. In total, I ordered 15 prints on metallic canvas, all with floating Tasmanian oak frames, along with 20 smaller matted prints. Prices varied from $20 for the matted prints all the way up to $700 for my massive 1.4 meter window hero print. The standard markup for artworks in a gallery setting is of course hugely variable, but for reproducible artworks like prints, it's usually around 3.5 times the cost price. So the price tags of my prints range from $135 for the matted prints through to $2,200 for the large hero prints. There are also some incidental costs to factor in as well. You'll need good sized rolls of bubble wrap, a tape gun, foam core for your signage, advertising flyers and business cards at the very least. Oh, and you'll probably also need your own public liability insurance to the tune of 20 million bucks. Now, I had a bit of strategy in place for my prints. I've visited many photographic exhibitions over the years, and I've seen photographers make similar mistakes in them, which I was keen to avoid. The most common issue is that there's no theme to their work. If you visit an art gallery, then all artists have a recognisable style, but many photographic exhibitions look like every shot could have been taken by a different photographer with a different camera. It's even worse when they're all very varied sizes and using different frames. It ends up looking like the entries in a local country show photo competition and not a unified body of work in an art gallery. The other common issue is that the photographs on display simply don't look like art. Sure, they might be nice shots, nicely composed and printed, but ultimately they look no different to a million other photographs. So I made damn sure that there was a recognisable look to my photographs. I did this in two ways. I themed the photographs and I had them all printed in the same style. Half the prints were abstract shots taken in the dunes at sunrise or sunset, and half were well-known local landscape locations. My intention was to try and blur the line between art and photo by using colourful shots printed on metallic canvas. For the duration of the exhibition, I or someone working with me had to be present in the gallery for the opening hours. Normally the gallery's closed midweek, but I wanted to maximise my chances, so I opened every day for the 2-week run. We were open from 10 AM to 4 PM. My tactic of opening every day was a partial success, because while I only sold 5 artworks in the quiet early weekdays, one of them was a large print. If I was to do it again, I'd not open on Tuesday or Wednesday, and I'd open much earlier on Saturday and Sunday to capitalise on all the folks in town getting breakfast and a coffee. I managed to get some great publicity going with 2 interviews on 2 radio stations and write-ups in 2 newspapers. I also posted in every regional Facebook group I could and paid for 2 weeks of a boosted advertising post on Facebook. So let's talk about how it went. Firstly, the gallery director and the resident artist declared it a success. I asked why, and they said most artists don't shift so much as a single artwork on their first outing. They don't give you that piece of information up front, let me tell you. In terms of visits, there were people in the gallery most of the time, and it was really busy at the weekends. Over 60% of my visitors came specifically to see my exhibition, with the rest being random walk-ups. This was nice, but the simple fact of the matter is that none of the people who came specifically to see my exhibition bought a big print. Some purchased matted prints or calendars, but that was it. In fact, all of my big sales were to people who just happened to be in town and decided to have a look-see. During the course of my 2-week residency, I also sold several artworks by the resident artists, for which I got a 5% sales commission. Thank you very much. Now, there are some intangible benefits to having a gallery exhibition, which I'll talk about in a minute, but let's talk money. Thus far, I have covered all of my gallery costs and also made back about 2/3 of my print costs. In this regard, I've been told by pretty much every artist and photographer I've talked to about it, I've done okay. It's also worth pointing out that I still have my unsold stock, and those prints will go on sale on my website and later on at another exhibition. Pessimistic me was expecting a total disaster, but it certainly wasn't that. I didn't sell out the show, and I'm yet to creep into profit, but I still can. So let's talk about the intangibles. Most obviously, I've now rebranded myself as a commercial artistic photographer, I enjoyed a considerable volume of publicity, and the exhibition has definitely raised my profile. I have shown that there is definitely a market for my prints at gallery prices. The people that purchased the large prints bought them because they appealed to them. They knew nothing at all about me, so I know that I can create a connection for people with the right photos. The question then is this: am I glad I did it? Yes, I am glad, partly because I'd always be wondering how I'd do had I not taken the leap, and partly because I know that it is possible to sell my photographic prints for respectable sums of money. And the obvious next question is, would I do it again? And the answer to that is also yes. However, I've learned a few things along the way, and I would do things differently next time. Firstly, I'm not convinced that that gallery I had my show at, and other similar galleries for that matter, are necessarily the best option for me. The venue rental costs and the commission taken on sales in such venues favours artworks in the multiple $1,000 range, not in the $500 to $2,000 range like mine. There are some excellent alternative locations here, including several run by the local council, for which the rent is a fraction of the cost and no commission is taken on sales. They don't have the posh factor, but certainly for the venue I'm hoping to have my next show in, they have far greater footfall and offer me greater control over everything. I wouldn't rule out never returning to the galleries, but I think there's work to be done first. Something else I'd do differently would be to carry far more matted prints than large prints. The profits on the matted prints are excellent. In fact, the money I made from matted prints more than covered the gallery hire costs. One alternative idea I'm considering is becoming a resident artist myself. The costs for being a resident work out at about $130 a week, so I'd only have to sell a couple of matted prints every week to cover my costs. I would then also have the advantage of having my prints on the wall of a gallery on a permanent basis and on view year round. Plus, I'd get a 2-week show every year with a zero commission fee. So if you find yourself in a similar situation, I suggest you think long and hard about the commercial viability of your photography. If my experience is anything to go by, your local profile is largely irrelevant because it's people that you don't know who probably end up buying your stuff. In hindsight, I had too many large prints on sale. I should have had more smaller prints. I would also have liked to have had more matted prints on sale, but the gallery imposed restrictions on this. I would also, and this is important, have had a party. By all accounts, a party at the opening of a gallery show results in a large number of sales, and I don't think I did myself any favours by opting out of this. Oh, that'll do it for this video, guys. Have you ever had a gallery exhibition? How'd it go? Did you sell out? Let me know in the old comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, got value from it, please flick me a like and consider subscribing for more eminently sensible content from me. Till the next time, guys. Ta-ta.